Greetings to everyone. Greetings. So happy you're here. Sorry we had some delays, but we are here now. And I'm excited to be here with the wonderful, beautiful Minister Wanda Floyd. And we're here to talk to you today about life. I was thinking about it and I said, let's talk about it. And I was like, talk about what? And I heard life. So we're going to talk about life today. And before we do, let's get started. So, as I said already, my name is Leslie Montgomery. You are tuned into LKM Kingdom Living, Leslie's Lessons Learned, and we are excited to be here today. But I can't start without the mirror. You know, yesterday we had a conversation um, about reflection. And when we look in the mirror, we can see a reflection. We can see a reflection. We can see the. I got more wrinkles in the top of my head. We can see the wrinkles. We can see anything that's not right. But if you look long enough and look past that, and you can look in your eyes because your eyes tell who you are, where you are. And you can say, man, sometimes you can say, my eyes look sad. Sometimes you can say, my eyes look happy. And one of the things I was kind of researching and looking in was deep breath. When you take deep breath and how it detoxifies, and it says it releases anxiety, and it changed the shape of your face, the form of your face. And I thought that that was so interesting. So when I look in the mirror, I'm these days looking past my hair need to be done. I need to go get it did and all those little crazy things. But I see a beautiful woman that has been created by Yahweh. And I'm just so grateful today that when I look in there, I don't see what used to be, but I see what really is. And I don't know about you, Minister Wanda, if you got your mirror today, if you see something or something that you want to talk about with your mirror.
Listen, we talking about life. We lifing today. My mirror is magnified, so it illuminates on those things that we the flaws we think we see. Uh, but when I look in the mirror this morning, because of the way the light is angled, uh, my complexion really shows up, and uh, some people might find this funny, but I just realized how dark I am about 4 or 5 months ago. Not in a bad way, y'all, but I was like, okay, I'm like that dark chocolate, Hershey chocolate. I'm like, really? So when I look in the mirror this morning, y'all, I see that beautiful dark brown complexion.
Radiant, radiant.
I love it. I love my color. So
Mhm.
that's what I see in the morning. Besides looking past the flaws, because we can always find some flaws. I picked something positive that makes me smile. And this morning that would be my complexion.
Yeah, I like that because we have to love ourselves. I want to say good morning to Dana and my daughters. Thank you so much for being here. It is an honor and a privilege to serve you, to be here. One of the things that I want to say is I want to encourage people, and I might show a little bit of clip or something. I want to encourage you to don't spend your life with regrets. Life is too important for that. A life of regrets means you living in the past. Live in today, not yesterday. The Father has things for you to do, to accomplish. We sit back and we look at other people and say, man, they are accomplishing things, and I wish I was accomplishing things. Well, there are things you're probably accomplishing, and I is that me that I hear the noise or uh,
It might be me because I was
What you over
having
there doing?
a summer moment. So I'm just do this. How about that? I was trying to hide it, but it's still like, because fall won't come and it's still like 100 degrees. I'm still looking for fall, like the APB out on fall. I'm just gonna say that. And I was hot. Sorry, y'all.
That's fine. That's fine. I was just like, is that me or and you know what? It's okay because what's the song that you say? That's life. That's what people say. Look, them personal summons is real. Okay, they are real. But the Father is not in your past. He's right here today. When you woke up this morning, he's like, I'm ready. You ready to go?
Yeah.
Let's get started. So I want you to lift your head up. I want you to lift your head up. I want you to begin to see life differently with hope, with peace, with joy. And we know you can't have any of those things without Yahweh, without allowing Yeshua to come into your life. But we want to encourage you that in this moment, in the time that you're in right now, get out that bed. Look out the window, see some beauty around you. Don't stay in that room open up the shades, the windows. Don't let it be all dark and dreary, because life is what you make it. The other day we were talking about um, attitudes, and one of the things I was saying, I said, I try to tell my grandchildren that you are the owner of your attitude. What you decide to do with the way you feel is what's going to make a difference in your life. You choose to either be angry, you choose to either brush yourself off and say it's going to be a good day and allow it to be a good day. The choice is yours. It's the same thing when you're depressed, when you're down and trodden and out, down and out. The choice is yours. Man, there's many days I could just lay in the bed and don't get up. There's many days I could just mope around. And I was making my tea this morning, and some of them, how they have little sayings. And this one said, I can't remember exactly what the words was, but what it was saying is, don't look for happiness, create it. Don't look for things to change if you're not willing to work to make sure that it changes. You have a responsibility just as well. We like to say that the Father has a responsibility and this one has a responsibility, but you have a responsibility to yourself to want to have more, to want to live a better life, and to want to enjoy life. So, can we say what I like for us to say every Sunday? And I want to say hello to Pastor Jackie. Thank you so much for being here. And that is, a life without me is like a world without color. And if you don't feel you have the strength to say it, let me say it for you. A life without you is like a world without color. So as we get started today, I have a little clip. I think I want to show it. I haven't shown a clip in a while. I think this. um,
Self-love equaled snatch. By snatched, I mean everything's looking good on the outside. I take care of my hair. I take care of my body. You won't catch me slipping. Self-love really meant perfect for me in the beginning. I didn't feel the best. I just looked like I had it all together, but inside my mind was falling apart. It's changed so much because now my self-love journey, it really has everything to do with how I feel on the inside. Do I want my skin to be clear? Yes. Do I want my hair to be flourishing? I'll take it. But what do I want more? I want my mind to be at peace. I'll give it all away just to be at peace here and be at peace with who I am, peace with my past, peace in the present moment, and comfortable and thriving in everything that I am. That's what I want most. One day I opened my camera app and I took this picture. I was feeling extra insecure that day and I thought it just wasn't good enough, so I decided to put on makeup. Maybe that would make me feel better, but it didn't. I still felt like I wasn't perfect enough, so I used an app to edit my face and get rid of my acne scars and my flaws. Who was I trying to be perfect for? Chasing perfection was so draining because I couldn't be comfortable in who I truly was. I was so worried about being judged by other people, but inside, I was my biggest critic. I was a judge. I want to love who I am at every moment in every stage of my life. I used to think that self-love.
Okay. Got the sang and everything else. I don't know what happened to you. Okay. Let me see. Okay. That's how about that? So, I thought about what she was saying, and it's so true. We can get caught up in what we think makes us fabulous, what we think makes us be a certain way. And and this is for real. Um, Getting to a place that it's okay to go without makeup and still be beautiful. Getting to a place to not look at your flaws and but begin to embrace who you are. That is a very important thing. Now, I was thinking last night, this morning, um, about my life. I was thinking about some of the things that I went through in life. And one of the things I thought about was there was a period when I was tired of the church. I was tired of the church, and it's really not about them. But in that moment, I shut everything down. They were calling me, I wouldn't answer them. I just kind of, and I thought about it, said I was kind of wilding out. Not that I was doing anything crazy, but I wasn't going to church. I didn't want to see any church people, and I thought about that portion of my life. But even in that portion of my life, and it lasted about a year, that was long enough. But even in that, I experienced some things that changed my life, that helped me in my walk with the Father to see things differently, to begin to accept things on a different note. I think about those type of things. I think about the fact that in our lives, things happen, things cause us to sometimes not be happy, sometimes not want to live life more pleasant, more pleasing, you know. And in those times, we could either beat ourselves up or we could shake ourselves off, come out of them, brush ourselves off, and get back into place. And when I think about it, and it took me a moment to get over myself because it was all about me. I was tired of the foolishness. I was tired of this. I was tired of that. And I just wanted a reprieve. I was like, I'm done. I'm done. And I wasn't done with the Father, but I was done with the church and the foolishness. And, not knowing that I didn't know what was going to happen. But then I began to miss the things of Elohim. I began to miss the at that time going to church and being involved. I began to miss those things. So I decided to change things and get it right, not just with myself, but with the Father. And I was just thinking about that this morning, how life throws curveballs. And what are you going to do when the curveball comes? Are you going to catch it or are you going to throw it back? You know? So, that's just something I was thinking about. Are you going to catch life or are you going to throw it back? So, you know,
Yeah, Dr. Mathis says all the time, and she started sharing it. And I was like, Mommy, that's my quote. She used to say all the time, the ball is in your court and the court belongs to you. So what are you going to do with the ball? Right? Are you just going to hold the ball and hog the ball, as we used to say when we were playing basketball. You're gonna hog the ball, or you gonna, you're gonna take the ball, you're gonna play with it. But how you gonna play? It's in your court, and the court belongs to you. And um, that church thing, I totally get it. You just get to a point where you love you love Yahweh. You love, you know, I will say you love church, but it's the extra things that came along with it that
Extra curriculum.
just the extra, all the extra, you know, if we it we understand Christendom a little different now, but you know, uh just the fact of it, if I could just go do what I'm supposed to do, worship, get the word, and go home, I will be good, you know. But there's so much that goes on that can wear you out, that you get to the place like you were. Like, I'm just sick of it. I'm tired of it. I don't want to see the church. I don't want to see the church people. Don't call me. Don't look for me. Um, yeah, I'm missing in action. I'm AWOL. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm okay with it. Unfortunately, like you said you began to miss it. I didn't. I didn't. I didn't. I did not miss the 24 services. I did
Right.
not.
In one
Yeah,
day.
in one day, the 24 services in one day. Leaving in the morning, 8 o'clock, and not hitting your door till 5. And then when I was in another denomination, shoot, that was like maybe 4 services a day or whatever, not getting home till 9 o'clock, and then children having to go to school. I did not. I got tired, and I did not miss it. And but I loved him, and so I began to learn how to have him and know him for myself, because we get caught up in believing that him is the church. And a lot of, I'll say it this way, they will say the church is full of women. And I think the men realize that I can have him and not have to be at that church. And that was what I believed, that and they make you believe that if you're not here, you've backslidden. If you're not here, you're sinning. Who indicated that? Why is that indicative of me living a life for Yahweh? You have to see my face in that building every Sunday, or otherwise I'm sinning. I've backslidden. That that has nothing to do with my relationship. And the truth of the matter is, which we don't realize, they didn't gather every Sunday. We
Right.
we do.
Right.
We gather every Sunday.
Right.
But I get it totally. I really do.
Yeah. One of the things that I learned and what happened was at one time my car broke down, so I couldn't get there. But that was a learning process as well, because I learned that, well, that wasn't my salvation, being in the church all the time. That was not my salvation. I was so used to thinking that me doing this and doing that and being a part of this ministry or this auxiliary was going to get me into heaven. But when I didn't have a car, I became relaxed in who I was with the Savior, and I began to uh, engage Him differently. Why I say engage Him differently, because now it's me and Him. And sometimes things happen that we get to the place that it's me and Him, that He is trying to wake us up. It's almost like a wake up call. It's not what you do in the church that causes us to have a covenant. It's what you do with me that causes us to have a covenant. And sometimes He'll take you through something and you'll be like, oh, that's the devil and that's this. And no, it's Him. And He's trying to get our attention to let us know that things ain't as though we think they are. Because His word says what? My thoughts is not your thoughts. My ways is not your ways. I don't think like you think. I don't do things like you do. And, even going through that is a process of understanding. Yes, we go to church. Yes, we're involved. Even though we're involved and we're in church, it doesn't mean that that's where your relationship is. That's just, like I said, extra curriculum. And it has nothing to do with the Father because it has nothing to do with your salvation. That has to do with building of the church. And there is a difference. There is a difference.
When I too, when I didn't have transportation was, and I couldn't get there, where that was the point where I realized for me. Now I know what they thought, but then that was the point where I realized that, you know what? My salvation, like you said, is not based on the church or me being in the building or me being on the praise and worship team and the usher board and all of these auxiliaries. And, you know, my salvation isn't based on that. My salvation is based on his word and my relationship with him. And so when I could not get there, and that's when I had to stop and go, look, wait, I'm still okay.
Got peace. Still have peace.
For real. It's like
Still
I'm
have
still
peace.
okay. Um, I'm not wilding out, right? I'm not buck wild. Hey, wait, I'm still doing this. Look, I'm still reading my word. I'm still saved. I'm saved for real. When I got saved for real, I got saved for real. And I realized for me, first we were talking about what they put on you. But in your mind, you feel like I have to be
You
in
have to
church
be there.
house every what? That's what we do. We go to church
Yeah,
on
that's
Sunday.
right.
We
As
drug
for
my
me in my house,
we go and y'all going. Listen, I said it yesterday. I drug mine. Now, when I was a little girl, I wanted to go.
me
Nobody had to
too.
make me.
Nobody had
Nobody
to
had to
make me.
drag me. I was there. But
Yeah,
when I got my own children, I drugged them. No, we going
yeah.
and
Don't play with me.
that's get up. We going, and yes, you are going to be in this auxiliary. You gonna sing in the choir. You usher.
You gonna do something.
You gonna do
I'm
something.
surprised my girls ain't chiming in because they got a mouthful to say about that.
I bet, and if I could sit mine around this table, they'd be like, "Mom," and because I drugged them, I made them go. But guess here's the thing. Yes, we did introduce them to Yahweh. Yes, they know of him, they know about him. You pray that as they grow older, they develop their own relationships with them. But after a while, they have to make the decision whether they should, if they want to go or not.
Yes.
Because now it's like I've taken them so far. Now it's up to you. I've introduced you. Might not have been, now that I'm looking back at it, it might not have been the best introduction. Well, once they got there, it wasn't the best experience because they did not have a choice whether they were going to do it or not.
Right.
Um, but now it's on them. And I'm just sitting back watching. Some of them, you know what I'm realizing, that they have it in their own way. That
Mm.
it's not that they don't know, they have it in their own way, and they have their own, I will say, their own relationships. Are they doing it the way I, as a mother, I would want them to, you know, we're here in the Sabbath and
But wait. Listen. When they did, it make you feel good. So when
yeah,
you brought them all to church, that made you feel good. Like
yeah,
you
we
was
was
having
lined up.
order.
We had the
Well, I
whole
know you was lined up.
we was lined up. We had a whole pew. I got a picture. The whole pew was me and mine lined up, right? All eight lined up, right? And but even having them here, and when I began to observe Sabbath and love Sabbath, and if you're in this house, we gonna do Sabbath. I don't want to hear none of your stuff. I don't want to hear nothing in this house if we're doing Sabbath. And they did that for a while, because they were obedient to me. Then I realized, you know what? you guys are of age. Once they became of age, 18 and up, this is it's your relationship. Now, if you choose not to, if you want to listen to other stuff, just go in your room with it. Leave me in my room and let me do Sabbath. I don't want to hear your stuff. Just know that I'm in Sabbath. Don't talk to me. Don't bother me unless the house burning down. And and I leave them at that. Now,
Right.
do some of them observe and honor Sabbath on their own? Yes, they do. Some of them don't. But
Right.
again, that's their choice. I, as a parent, I instilled it in them. And then they're so it's comes to a point where they have to do their own walk because we can't do it for them.
You can't. As
No.
much as we like to say something and want them to be a part. Every once in a while, I do put a plug in there. I ain't gonna lie. I do put a plug in there every once in a while, but
I do too. I'll send out the video.
but it's real. It's a personal relationship, and the way we go, they might not want to go, but it doesn't mean that they're not going. And when I mean that, it doesn't mean that they're not gonna honor and worship Yahweh. They might not just come and sit and listen like we do or study like we do, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to honor and respect him. When I think about even when I was coming up as a young lady, and I was thinking this morning, I said I was going to make a post of kind of all the people, not all the people, some of the people that played a intricate part in my life, and I'm going to put it on, Facebook and thank them. Some of them have gone on, but just to know, just to see, I begin to think about the village that I had.
Mhm.
And, my grandfather, he was the one that was teaching us the word. He was the one, my mom had Bible study with us and things like that. But my grandfather, my grandmother, every morning they had devotion at 7. They were sitting at that dining room table and we would come and join them. Thursday night, my grandfather had Bible study and he was teaching us the word. And, that's a big part of my foundation. Now, the interesting thing was in my grandparents' house, now, in my mom and dad, they both was Methodist, but in my grandparents' house, my grandmom was Methodist and my grandfather was Baptist. And I
Mhm.
used to like to go to the Baptist church because all my friends was there, and that's where it was happening at. But
Yes, 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 yes. I still remember some of those hymns, the devotional hymns.
yeah,
Got me over thy great Jehovah, pilgrim through this barren land, God.
oh gosh, yeah. And even with my grandmother, as I got up of an age, she wouldn't tell me to go to church, but she'd be back and forth in the room getting something out, making noise, slamming, like, "Okay, I'm up now," you know. She- and then she'd be like, "Oh, you're going to church," But the foundation really started at a young age. We grew up that way, and I'm not saying that we grew up in um, everything in the Methodist church. You kind of just going to church, but the foundation of knowing. Um, I didn't know him as Yahweh at that time, but
Right.
knowing that Yahweh was a part of our life, that it was a part of their lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my grandfather used to get mad at my grandmama and say, "I hope you saved, because when you die, I hope you go to heaven." Or my grandma say, "You need to get saved," But just to know that we had to have salvation, to know that we had to find time to spend with Yahweh. My grandmother, when she first got up in the morning, her devotion time was in the bathroom. She had her daily word, her Bible, and everything was in there. So she had her own personal time, and then they would come together. And I think that is a part of the village that has allowed me to succumb to this place where I am now.
Hmm.
you know and I really appreciate that at what they did at that time, was all that they knew to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they knew, and we went to church, yes, and we had to do the Easter recitals, and we had to, you know, be in the Christmas plays, and we, you know, we had to be in things. We had to be in Sunday school. You know, it wasn't teaching us nothing, you know, but we was in it, you know, with our pretty dresses on, our hair nice, you know, and you better not forget your piece you supposed to say, you know. So, but those were times to cherish.
Mm-hmm.
Those were times to cherish. And uh, I think now that I'm learning differently, I still want my grandchildren to have time to cherish knowing the word,
Yes. Yes.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
knowing Yahweh.
Yeah. Yeah.
My grandson, his teacher last year said, "We're just so surprised he knows all the names of God." And I was like, "He only know three, you know."
That's a lot to her.
He was four, you know, four. So,
Yeah.
you know, but they was just so taken out, and he knows more than I think he knows. Sometimes he'll come in and say something to me, and I'm like, "Oh, you are listening," you know, because he's always making so much noise. He runs in for a minute, he stays for a while, and he said, "Oh, that's Apostle," and then he'll go on about his business, you know. But even through all that,
Yeah.
he's getting a foundation.
Yeah. We think they aren't listening, but
Right.
uh-huh. They
Yeah.
are. Mine does the same thing. I like, oh, you know that? Oh, okay. I didn't think y'all were paying attention. But I think that's just all ages. You don't think that they're paying attention, but they are. My son, we call him Fat. His name, he's Eric Jr. I thought I was doing something. Well, son, you got to go watch this video. He was like, and he had watched
He had watched them all.
all the videos. Not one time I came downstairs, I was like, "What is that? Just loud in my house on Sabbath?" And I came downstairs, and it was Apostle on the TV. I, oh, it took my happy self back up. And you're trying to give him go watch this. I watched that one already, Mom. I watched that already, Mom. And so had no idea, had no idea. He still does his own thing, but you never know what they're getting, you know, on the inside and when you're not around. Our job, like Apostle tells us, is that all we have to do is live it. You ain't got
It's
to shove it down their,
lifestyle.
you don't have to shove it down their throats. Just live it, you know. And I am doing my best not to be just a hearer of the word, but literally a doer of the word. And not to get them their attention, but literally just to do it
For yourself.
for myself
For
because that's what
yourself.
you're supposed to do.
Right.
You know? My upbringing was a little different. There wasn't a bunch of like devotions and talking about God because that's what he was back then. There
Right.
wasn't a lot of that, but there was a lot. It was evident that we were a house of believers because there were all type of books in the library for us to read. 10 Commandments at Easter time, because that's what it was. My mom always watched the 10 Commandments, and I'd be down there with her crying. And what are you doing like that, Mom? I'm down there crying. I mean, Moses, all of that. We watching all. Then we watching, you know, Yeshua's life, his birth, his death, and the resurrection. We doing all of that. And
They look
um
forward to that.
that, yeah, my mom did. My
Yeah.
dad didn't so much.
Right.
But it was my mom. And she watched all that stuff. But my dad, I can hear him now. There was a song that because he got up early, you know, they in the South. So they 5 in the morning, they out doing the garden and cutting the grass because you're doing it before the sun comes up and it gets hot, right? But he sang this song. Hear it now. Nearer, my God, to thee, nearer to thee. He would walk through the house singing that and whistling that. And my mom, like I said, we had the books and she watched the programs. And I took myself to Sunday school. I was like, can I go to church? Okay. So I found the church down the street. She would let me walk to Sunday school, but after Sunday school, you bring your tail back home. I wasn't allowed to
Don't
stay
let me have to come looking for you.
church service, but you could go to Sunday school and come home. And then it was my neighbor's church. I found out later, and they started letting me go to church with them and come home. But I took myself to church, and all my life I found a church. I took myself to church. It wasn't until I got into my teenage years, like junior high school, that my mom and my dad found the church first that he enjoyed, a quiet church. It wasn't the hoopla of a Baptist church or Kojic church. I didn't know nothing about Kojic till I got grown.
Well,
All
I
I knew
know.
was, yeah, all I knew was Baptist, or I had some people at school that could only wear dresses. And so they went to
Oh,
a different kind of church. They went to
apostolic.
the holiness church. That's what we call
Apostolic.
it,
Yeah.
right? And so they found this little quiet church to go to. And then my dad was going every Sunday. He never asked my mom to join him. Just one time she asked to go. And from that point on, now they never, that's so crazy. They never drove together, because when she was ready to go, she was ready to go. And he was ready to go, he was ready to go. So she drove her car, he drove his car, but they were at the same church. And my mom started getting involved in little activities. And when she left here, that was her church. And sometimes I would go with them. As a little girl, I would go with them. As a teenager, I would go with them. But majority of the time, I was at my own church, you
Yeah.
know. And so that's why it's so different for me. I know why I did it, because we were told that you have to bring your children. It's not an option for them to stay at home. And
Right.
that's why I ended up dragging my
Right.
children. If I could do that, I really owe them a great apology. We've had this conversation before. I really owe them a great apology, not for introducing them to Yahweh, because I think we should do that.
Oh, yeah.
Set the foundation. But the dragging and all of that, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have.
Well, I'm gonna let you have that one on your own.
I, I really don't think I should have drugged them and made them go.
Oh, yeah, but you made some good points, because I remember when I became a teenager and I still wanted to go to church, and I would get all my friends together and we'd be walking and the dogs be chasing us and we'd be running in our heels down the street trying to get to church while the dogs was chasing us. But I always desired to go. And then when I got older, I would take everybody's children to church.
Wow.
And I'd have one child be crawling up the chair. I got them by the leg. One be crawling on my head, and I'd be pulling them like this, trying to make them all sit down. And I wanted to get a van because I wanted to take as many people to church as I can. But it was all still come from the foundation. Now, like I said, my mom and dad, my dad, he was in the military, so he was gone a lot. But
I can't see the comments, so
oh, you can't.
no.
First, Ashley said she stuck on y'all having a library. You said you had a library in the house.
We
She
did.
come out. Leslie doesn't think that way. She let I didn't know.
We
I
did.
guess Yahweh still got to help me. But it was something that was always, like you said, inside of me that wanted more. And I remember one time we went to church and the spirit, I'm going to say, had arrested me. And we were in church and my cousins thought I was playing, but I wasn't playing. And I didn't know how to come out of it. And I remember going home, but after I got home, my life had changed. I didn't desire hanging out. I didn't desire doing the things like of the world. And I used to just sit and look out the window because they didn't tell me at the Methodist church to read my word. They didn't tell me to pray. I don't even know if they knew, now that I think about it, what had taken place and happened to me.
It was at the Methodist church that happened.
Yeah, I was a teenager.
Oh, I thought
And,
it was at the Baptist church.
huh?
I thought it might have been at the Baptist church.
No, most of my time was at the Methodist church.
Okay.
Um, and I remember just sitting there. My life, it was like it was a, like I like to say, a defining moment. That was one of the defining moments in my life. And in that defining moments, the only thing missing is I didn't know what to do. My aunt that I lived with, they weren't church people. They weren't church goers. They didn't do that. So when my cousin would say, "You want to go outside? You want to do something?" I was like, "No, I just had no desire for those things." But eventually it came back because I had no substance. I didn't have anything to lean upon. I didn't know that I needed a Bible. I didn't know. I shouldn't say I didn't know I needed a Bible. I didn't know what I needed to do. If I probably called my grandparents, they probably, I'm not probably, they would have told me what to do, but I didn't even think along those lines. I didn't know what happened. I just knew I felt clean and something was different. I never connected the two. So as I went through that process, and when I got saved in a Jesus only church. Everything was Jesus. I was baptized in Jesus' name, you know. And when I first went there, why are we talking about this stuff? When I first went there,
It's life. We're talking about life.
life,
Life.
church life today. And I had on makeup and stuff, and the pastor preached so bad about makeup. While I was sitting there, I just started taking the makeup off my face, you know. And the choirs, even in the choir, when you walked in the door, they had dollies at the door. If you didn't have one, they gave you a dolly to put on your head. That's the church I got saved in. They was bona fide apostolic.
Okay.
And then I end up coming back to Jersey, and then life really began. And in the process, had people in my life that was saved, taught me how to pray, taught me how to seek his face, taught me how to shut away, go into the weekend at church and be shut away all weekend, praying and seeking his face and learning how to preach, because the mothers would have you preach, but they'd have the bell that they rang when you went too long. You know, all those type of things are valuable things that took place in my life. And you don't really hear about it that much anymore, but there are some churches that still do it. But I'm just thinking about the things that I still desired. I just still desired him.
Mm-hmm.
I still desired to want to know more about him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about the other day when I was on with Apostle, and I was saying that I was saved almost 50 years. And I said what I should have said, I was in the way for almost 50 years because I didn't, you know, because living life the way that I know to live it as holiest as I could. So it was an experience, and life now is another whole chapter. And to learn how to live it Yahweh's way is totally different than all those experiences. But I value every one of them. I value the hymns. I value those things because it was a part of my life.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. My church experience was a little different. So I began my journey in the Baptist church, uh, and which was, preaching and choir and being on the usher board and
That's first thing.
Bible, Bible study and
Yeah.
that. And I did, I did read my Bible. I enjoyed reading my Bible. Um, And then from there, but my experience with the Baptist church is we went to church, but we did everything else. The things that I were introduced to with my little innocent self was at the Baptist church. I was introduced to some things at the Baptist church, right? That's what I called them. And then I just kept but I had this prayer life. It wasn't I just would talk to him and I would tell him, because I'm coming to him to repent for my life. And my prayer was, I know you sick of me because I'm sick of myself. I know you, that literally is my prayer. I know you're sick of me because I'm sick of myself. I said, and I know there has to be more. There has to be more to this than this. And that, not long after that, I was introduced to the Kojic Church.
Okay.
And, a different way of doing things that, you live a holy life before him.
That's what they tell you, right?
And you live a holy life before him, right? There's no makeup and no fingernail polish. If you wear makeup, you can wear foundation, but that's it. A little powder, foundation, no lashes. If you got nails, it has to be French or cotton candy.
Can't have no polish.
No colors, no none of that. And live holy. Bring your children to church, put them on the back pew, let them sleep. I mean, revivals week long, and you better be there, or you going to hell, preaching, all of that. That was my first experience. And when I tell you, learning how to pray, but I was already praying. But then now I'm like, okay, there's another way I'm supposed to be praying and seeking him and studying. And that's where I was first introduced to the concordance. So I knew about getting that word. I've always loved to study, get that word, read and break things down, and preach, because we had to read. And you might get called that Sunday actually I was all the time, from holding the door, because I was the usher. Sister Wanda, you bring the message this morning. Oh, okay. So you better have some word in you. And that's what we did. But there was an extreme. It was like at the Baptist, they love him, but it's not enough. And then you go to another denomination, and then there's an extreme to it. And so from there, I went to a non-denominational where you can wear, how hard it was to put on lipstick and eyeliner and put some lashes on. And it was hard, and wear fingernail polish. It took me at least 2 years to come out of that
bondage.
That's what I was looking for, out of that bondage. And now it's, you just get the word, you pray, you seek him. But now we got, although probably should have had that at the Kojic, now we got shut-ins, and you're not praying hard enough, and you got to get on the altar, and you don't love him enough. You got to be delivered. And I'm like, I'm not. You always felt that you weren't measuring
enough. You never measured up
enough. And I'm not blaming leaders or the denomination. It's just the pressure that comes from each of it. And all he really wants is us. If we have him, we have a relationship with him. If we read that word and just talk to him, prayer is literally an open communication. Do you know how long I beat myself up because I felt like I couldn't pray like everybody else, and I couldn't last in a fast? I didn't even mean that to rhyme, but I just couldn't. If they called a fast from 12 to 6, or from the time you got up to 6 p.m., I couldn't make it to 11 o'clock.
Look, we did 40-day fast. And
I used to
clothes falling off of me, and
I couldn't do none of that. I couldn't. I remember we had a women's week, and because I was the worship leader and I really wanted Yahweh to use me, those 3 days each year I would fast. And you talking about hard. 3 days, just water. And like Apostle talked about popping the mints in the mouth. I would cheat with a little Mentos, because you could chew those. But that was the most I would do. And I'd be so proud of myself because fasting was a burden for me. And I felt
Mhm.
like I was failing him because I didn't pray like they prayed and I couldn't fast the way they did. And I wasn't up at 5 in the morning in my closet reading my word. But the freedom and the liberation came when I found out the truth. I was like, you mean all this time I wasn't failing God? Do you mean all this time it's just an open communication with Him? Do you mean really there was only one fast a year? And I'm killing myself and beating myself up because I couldn't fall into the Tuesday, Thursday fast or whatever it was, or the 40-day fast that once a year, Daniel's fast. Child, I'm hungry. I don't want no vegetables. I'm hungry. I'm hungry. I'm not gonna make it. I'm hungry. And I'm not at 5 in the morning spending an hour in the closet reading my word before I start my day. I'm asleep. That's where so I felt like I was failing. We call him Yahweh, but at that time I felt like I was failing God.
Yeah.
And once again I said, I know. Ooh, that almost brought me to tears. I know there has to be more to it than this. And that's when I was introduced to the truth.
Yeah.
And
And I
once you
think
get the
about
truth,
that
you
word.
can't go back.
Um, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Yes.
And, when we think of our lives and we do go through process, it is a journey. And those things you went through was what you needed to go through to understand where you are today. Honey, if they said fast 40 days, I was there. If they say we shutting in all weekend, I was there. If we was in church, look, we would be in church because I was part of the deliverance ministry. We'd be in church 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. And one day, Ashley's teacher called me and said she was concerned because Ashley kept falling asleep.
Oh,
Did
baby.
I told this story?
Oh, baby. We did it too. We did it too.
I said, "Oh my God, it must be the medicine the doctor gave her." I lied, but I learned a lesson there. I was like, "This is over. I'm not doing this anymore."
Let me
You
tell
know,
you my lesson. Let me tell you my lesson. I ran in from work to change my skirt, change my pants to put on a skirt, to go back out to go to church for choir rehearsal, a meeting, or something. And coming down the steps, Jada said, Mom, you leaving again? That was my epiphany, eye opener, wake. That was my waking moment that I can't do this because I literally was at for 2 weeks in a month. Each month, I was at church almost every day except for Thursday.
well, we
And
was at
my
church all the time.
yeah, my child was like, Mom, you leaving again? And when I asked, can I cut back? When I asked the leader, can I cut back on some of these activities because my
God
children are
forbid,
suffering? I was told, let me pray about it. And I was
and you never
put
get
in
an answer, right?
my head, I was like, you go ahead and you pray about it. I know what I got to do. I won't be
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah,
Balance.
yeah.
We did not know balance. That's why I said I wouldn't drag them. If I could do it all over again, I wouldn't drag them because we needed balance. And I am grateful for the journey because the journey got me here.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for the life lessons. Oh,
Well,
lessons learned.
as I told Ashley this week, I don't know what we was talking about. And I said, I really need to apologize to y'all because I have done y'all an injustice, and it's true. And it's not like I know my daughters love me, but when I think about some of the things I did and the way I did them, it's like that was such an injustice to them, you know. and to be in a space now to understand it. And you know what I understand? When you hear people say, well, my mom wasn't like that with me. Look how she's with the grandchildren. It's because we learn.
We learn. We
We learn.
learn. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you want to do better.
Right,
You want to do
right,
better.
right. Yeah. So I want to thank everybody for being here. Looking at some of the comments, Alfreda said, preach, Pastor Wanda. um, Ashley said, and that was the thing. I would make them fast too.
Ah.
That she said she went to school, she ate last time.
I did I did make the house fast for y'all before. And it was so funny to hear Jada and them try to tell Aaliyah about that fast. She was like, girl, child, mommy had us fasting for Yom Kippur, and we couldn't eat nothing. I said, y'all, what? Child, Yom Kippur. We couldn't eat nothing. I said, Father.
Yeah. So yeah, life is good.
It
Life
is.
is good, and life is what you make it. We those were experiences in our lives,
Yeah.
and everybody has an experience, has a story to tell of something they did that might have been silly, might have not been right, but we thought was right because we thought we were serving the Father. You
Yes.
know, we
Yes.
thought we were serving the Father. And if we served the Father, our children was going to serve the Father. Hey, as for me and my house, we going to serve him. Don't come up here with that foolishness in this house.
Everybody, everything going.
Everything, monkey,
Everything.
dogs, whatever.
Everybody going. I even had the cat worshiping. I was his little arms would be up like this, y'all. I said, see, even the cat saved. He worshiped.
And you know what? I see people that have that like on Instagram and stuff where their dogs don't eat unless they pray. I pray first and
Yes, son.
just worship and all that kind of stuff. And you know, it's something to be said. I never wanted an animal. Don't have any. When we was little, we had them. I had asthma, so every time we got a dog, we would have to get rid of it. So my brother finally said, "Well, why can't we just get rid of her? Never mind."
It's your fault.
Find her somewhere to live. I'm tired of getting rid of our dogs because of her.
So
But yeah, life is really what you make it.
yes.
And the conversation on the table, even though we talked about church and uh, going through church, I guess you could say, um, knowing each experience. When I look at the different um, how through the my ranks of different callings and different ministries and just all that stuff. And I said it was in the way because I didn't really know the word.
Mm.
That's why I said I was in the way. I was in the way. I didn't really know the word. And now I'm learning the word, and I think that that's well, it is the foundation, but I think that that's the icing on the cake.
I would say I wouldn't say you didn't know the word because I listened to you and you recall the word very well. I would say that you're learning more about the word and you're learning the truth of the word because
Right.
it's in you. I hear you recall it all the time, like you and Pastor Spencer, you recall it all the time. But now you're learning the word the right way and the truth of the word and how to apply the word to your life. Because if the word wasn't there, the Ruach HaKodesh, which is the Holy Spirit, he couldn't even allow you wouldn't even be able to recall it the way you do. So you knew the word. You did.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Did I spend time in the word? I sure did.
You, you knew that
I
word.
was single, and when I came home from work, that was my time. From the time I entered the door, I had my own place. I was from I would step in my apartment. When it came inside, I had steps to go up. I would bend at my knees and begin to pray
See,
before
you
I
was the
even
one.
went upstairs.
See, you was the one. It
I
was you.
was the one.
You was them. You was them right there that I was trying to measure up to. See, you come in the house, take your shoes off, and bend bowed down, knee bowed, knee bent knee and bowed down, and then go read your word. See, you was the one.
Oh my God, you're so funny. And then I would come upstairs. I would just, for some reason, I would be like, even when I would be at work, sometime I would get in and just begin to praise him and worship. And one of the girls say, there she go, look at it, look at it. And I had to check myself. But I was just so engulfed by him. I loved him so much. And even now it's different. But then if I needed something, I stood in that word and I did not move until he manifested. And he would manifest everything I need.
Wow.
And then life starts to happen. You get children, things change, and you forget about that part of him saying he's a provider. And now I'm learning it differently though.
Yeah.
But I would not move. I remember one day I needed gas and I said, Father, I'm gonna sit right here. And someone called me and said, I need to ride somewhere. I'll give you gas money. Can you come? That story for me, out of all the stories, I don't know why that sticks in my head, but that's how I was so in love with him and what I knew about him from the place where I was.
And that's why I believe, like you said, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. I believe why we were introduced to truth the way we were was because of the way we were before, how we were in our word, how that what you said, just sitting there, okay, I need this. And I'm not moving till you get this because give me this because you said I was quick to say, bring all the tithes to the storehouse that they be meat, that there might be meat in my house and prove me now. You said, prove you. So, look, I need you to do something. I stored up. I stored it up. And we believed what we read. And
Yeah.
so now we're at the place. Then he says, okay, now you're ready for this. Now you can find out the truth behind my word. And now we look at verses and we look at scriptures and we're now beginning to understand.
Connecting the
That's what
dots.
you said. Because we were reading and wanting to understand, and some things we did, but now it's all making sense
Yeah.
because of how we were before. And
Yeah.
it's all purpose, it's all intentional.
I want to say this before we close out though. We're not saying this is not a self-righteous conversation. I know for my life, I made many mistakes.
A lot,
I've done many things wrong,
a lot.
but it never separated my love for the Father. And even, man, when I think about some of the mistakes I made, I was like, I was a total hot mess, just some of the mistakes I made. And even when I think about it, and I think about how I probably might have stopped some people from coming to him because of
Mhm.
some of the things I've done. But now that's, you think about all these things, but yeah, there was things that wasn't out there killing anybody. I wasn't a prostitute on the corner, nothing like that. But the things I did, you know, they could affect the kingdom, you know. So I never want anybody to think that I'm self-righteous or
Mhm.
that I'm trying to play the I had did everything right game.
Mhm.
No.
No.
Right now, the only thing we're talking about is who we love and how it drew us because we loved him.
Mhm.
That love was not something that was deep down on the inside of us.
Yeah.
Why? Because from the foundation, when we left heaven, came to earth, he was connected to us. And the world had tried to separate us, but the yearning for him never left,
Right.
never left. So I don't know if you have any
Well,
last words.
no, just that you heard us both say we were sick of the church. So that can tell you right there. Um, but it was our love for him that kept us close to him. And we're not at all, like Miss Leslie said, Prophetess Leslie said, saying we're self-righteous. We just want you to know that life is going to life, but you have to make sure that you're making yourself happy, that you have a balance. And when it comes down to it, it is your relationship with Yahweh and his word that is most important. It ain't the building, it ain't the auxiliaries, it's not your titles, it's none of that, because none of that matters to him. All he wants is you, a relationship with you, and for you to know his word, because
His
his
word.
word is what gives us life, and that more abundantly.
And that abundant life makes you love the word. There's a love when you submit yourself to him and you allow him to become a part of your life. You know I'm going there. Songs of Solomon.
Oh, my beloved.
It's just an old
Just be at
fashioned
the
love
bottom of
song.
that, should be at the ticker tape at the bottom. Come in, thou beloved this.
I say the Songs of Solomon is just an old fashioned love song. The word is so precious to me. I can't even, just sitting here thinking about it, I can't even explain it. I love the word. It's not a phase, it's not a fad, it's my life, it's my covenant, it's my journey, it's my lifestyle.
It literally becomes your joy.
It
It it
becomes.
becomes your strength. It becomes your help in the time of trouble. It becomes, like that song says, your bridge over troubled water. Yeah. It becomes that place where you hide and feel safe. It becomes that place where you go and get your answers. It becomes your refuge. It becomes your healer. It literally becomes, when you love it, it literally becomes everything that you need.
Your everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when it becomes your everything, it's being in love. You're in love. And one thing about true love sometimes make you tear up, make you, it wells up on the inside of you. And it makes you just want to cuddle up and
Listen, it can I tell y'all that every Sabbath I was feeling so bad because can I tell y'all it rocks me to sleep
oh
every
yeah.
Sabbath evening when I get in there and I get to studying and he tells me what he wants me to read about and I start reading and I would fall asleep. And I was
Mhm.
like, if that ain't the devil,
Right.
dog, that's
And it's not.
oh, it's not. That's what it's supposed to do. Apostle had to tell me because I was like, ugh. And it's like it's supposed to do that. It's comforting. And then you falling asleep reading it, and then I got it playing audibly, and you can hear it while you're sleeping. Yeah. I woke up yesterday hearing the story about um the quail coming from the sea, and I woke up, I was asleep and awake, and I could hear him say, as you got the meat between your teeth, you that plague was coming. I was like, what? In my sleep and woke straight up and was cracking up. I was like, that's what y'all get. That's what the word does for you. The
Yeah.
word does that for you. So good. Yeah.
And the sad one thing about the Father, there's nothing that he doesn't do that you've seen in the word that he didn't give instructions.
Mhm.
He told them what was going to happen. And we got to go because it's almost
He told
10:30, but he told
me.
them
He did. It's
every
gonna be
step of the
loathsome.
way.
It's gonna be loathsome to you. It's gonna be coming out your nostrils. Y'all gonna,
Reading.
he did. He did. The word. Just get in y'all's just get in the word, y'all. Just, just get in the word. Just get in the word. You'll know exactly what we mean. Last Sabbath I was ending because he told me to go to Psalms 8, and when I went to Psalms 8 I read it, and there was a familiar portion of scripture that or verse that we read, and I was like, yeah, okay, hallelujah. But baby, by the end of Sabbath I went back. Now read it again. I went back
So a
and
whole nother,
falling mess because suddenly it all made sense.
yeah.
What is man that you are mindful of him? It is going to make me cry now. Woo. Or the Son of Man that you would visit him. I've made him a little lower than the angels, and I've crowned him with honor. And when I looked up those words, it's to be the it's when you look it up, he decorated us and made us to it's an honor to be a man. It's the honor of men. And then when you think about the rank of angels and how important angels are to Yahweh, and he made us just a little bit lower, and then he tells you in that same passage that he gave us the ability to take care of the work of his hands. Man, I was a balling mess
His,
after. Read your word, y'all. Love it. Love it. It is literally food for your soul. For real.
it is. And we're going to end on this note.
Okay.
I don't know
Okay. We gonna end for real.
how many notes we done had.
Ending like the preachers. For real. We gonna end on this one. For real.
I just want to encourage you that as you read your word, that you just don't read it, but you take your time. Every comma, every colon, everything plays such an intricate part in your reading. And if you don't read that way, you will miss so much in the word. Like you said, you read the word earlier and it was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But then you went back. There's a difference in reading and studying. There's a difference in hearing when you're reading and allowing Yahweh to break it down or Ruach to break it down to you. I don't want you just to read it. It's not just a history storybook.
Mhm.
It's a life-changing book. And there's some things you might want, I'm gonna say, deliverance from, that's in the word. When you take your time,
Mhm.
digest it. Oh,
Mhm.
taste and see that Yahweh is good.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
benefits of understanding what you're reading is a reward. You get rewards just knowing. Says wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. When you get understanding of what the word is really saying, I'm going to stop. But if you take your time,
Yeah.
don't read it like a story.
Mhm.
Read it like your life depends on it,
Come on.
and it makes a difference. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I promise I'm done.
Yeah, we
This
do.
is this. I could go on all day with this, but we
Just
done.
savor it. Like when you got a good meal and you eat a little bit at the time because you want to savor it, just savor it.
Yeah.
Don't go past one. If you see a comma, you see a semicolon, or a colon, stop. Stay right there. Dissect that so you can get all of the flavor of that one part of that verse.
Yeah.
And then when you've chewed all the flavor out of that one verse, then that part of the verse, then move on to the next one. That's how we read. That's what we weren't taught how to
Right.
read and study. You take it
Exactly.
slow so you can get everything that Yahweh wants you to get out of what he's saying. And we
Faith,
done for real.
faith comes by hearing, and
Yes.
read that same verse over and over and over. It's like the apostle say, a slow cook. I'm about to say it's like a slow eat. Eat your food slow.
Chew it slow.
True, it's slow. Right. Because it's like honey in the honeycomb. It's sweeter than the honey in the honeycomb. And, we've been talking about that this month, but that scripture right there is so powerful. So the other day I said, let me look up how they make honey. We're done. I want y'all to have an amazing, amazing, amazing rest of the week. And don't take your life with Yahweh for granted. Don't take it for granted. He loves you enough right where you are to allow you to come unto him and sup with him. That's what the word says. Come and sup. Come and sit at my feet. Learn of me. Learn of me. Learn my word. Come into covenant with me. So your life would never be the same. So your journey won't be as hard. If you don't know him in the pardon of your sins, ask him to come into your life. Ask him to repent. Ask him to forgive you. Allow him to take control. Allow him to lead and guide you into all truth. Allow him to begin to swipe the slate clean of all the things that you've done and all the ways that you lived, and allow him to take you and put you in his arms and begin to caress you where you desire more of him and want him. And until we meet again, I'm quiet. Until we meet again, I'm going to say, have an amazing week. Do you have any last words?
Have an amazing week.
Love you guys.